When's the rapture going to take place? Oh, that's the question. All right. Now, I have a bias that I believe that the rapture, this being caught up, occurs before the 7 years of tribulation. 1 Thessalonians chapter 1. And this is a whole sermon. I'm not going to give we don't have time. 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 10. The Apostle Paul writes to Thessalonian believers, and they knew about the tribulation coming. So that's why it's interesting in verse 10, chapter 1, verse 10 of 1 Thessalonians, and we are waiting, and to wait for his Son from heaven, whom he raised from the dead, Jesus, who rescues us from what? The coming wrath. Well, what is the coming wrath that Jesus rescues us? Some people like to go, well, that's talking about hell. Let me tell you something. Jesus rescued me from hell the moment that I got born again. I'm not waiting for Jesus to rescue me from hell. I've already been rescued from hell. So that's very poor grammatical to go, well, that's got to be. And then some people go, well, I'm kind of mid-trib. Well, that's weird because the first half of the tribulation, half the earth is destroyed. There's a lot of wrath. They knew about the tribulation and the 7th week of Daniel, and there's a lot of wrath, and it's devastating what's going to happen on the earth. And Paul goes, Jesus is coming to rescue us from that wrath. In Revelation chapter 3, 10, 11, there's a promise to the church. Since, this is the words of Jesus, since you have kept my command to endure patiently, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come on the whole world to test the inhabitants of the earth. Well, and then it goes into the hour of trial that's going to come on the whole earth, the 7 years of tribulation. And Jesus has a promise, I'm going to keep you from it. I personally believe, if you know anything, the tribulation is occurring for 7 years on the earth. But meanwhile, up in heaven, the bride, the church, the bride symbolically marries Jesus. Jesus is the groom, the church is the bride. And there's a marriage that takes place in heaven, and we have a marriage feast. And then I say we come back with Jesus for the honeymoon and set up a 1,000-year millennium. For people who think that the rapture happens at the end when Jesus returns, at the end of the 7 years, I'm just going to tell you, you have a theological problem. And that means that part of the bride is on the earth and part of the bride is in heaven, and that the bride that Jesus marries in heaven and the bride that enjoys the marriage supper is not complete, because there are Christians who are storing food and water and guns because they think they're going to try to get through the 7 years of tribulation to get to when Jesus comes back for his second coming, separate from the rapture. But I personally do not believe that a marriage takes place in heaven with the church and Jesus Christ and the reception with an impartial bride. I believe the whole bride will be present in heaven when the Father marries Christ to the bride. So